forget to smash that like button. Subscribe. We need some subbies. Come on, you can do it. Late night. Woo, come on.
It's iconic. I'm going to do my video real quick, and I'll come back and look at your car. Cannonball. Cannonball. Good morning. Hi, Joe Maxwell. What a nice treat. Yeah, no big deal. What's up, you guys? Good morning. How are you? Good morning. Good morning. How are you guys? Nice. No motor today, sorry. British something. What's up, man? Nice shirt. Good morning. I was doing so many that I missed the audio cue there. But we'll kill the echo and we'll bring the whole thing and we'll start the show, the whole bit. We'll start the whole thing. And we've got bubbles, everybody, for the Instagram audience as well. They never get to see the bubbles. Wouldn't that be funny? Like, it's basically radio. It's like ventriloquism. Like, we've done all of this work and then it's right behind the camera. If only you could see it. Aw. Although, can you switch the... Yeah, let's just try something. We'll start the show in a second. YouTube, be right with you. Playing with Instagram over here. Can you? Oh, here it is. Oh, well, there you go. Maybe I'll do that. Look at that. I know these kids in their phones.
It's a good hack.
This is not new technology. I know, not new technology. Oh, look at that though. It looks like when you put the Yule log. Turn to channel 11 in New York. Go to PIX for the Yule log. You know what I'm talking about. All right, let's bring it in here. Should we start the show? Try to get professional here? Sure, let's try that. Hi, Bobby Bass. Hey, everybody. Hi, official Natasha. Indy 8098, Missouri, Groovy. Holy crap, there's a lot of people. What's up, everybody? Okay, Lordy, let's fire it up. Tonight is Tuesday, June 8th, 2021. There we go, fired up. I got cameras and everything. Now let's bring Instagram in here. We can do this. We can do everything together. Oh, that's it. I didn't bring us in, though. When Greg Grunberg was in here last week, he goes, we got to get this so you're not cutting cameras and everything yourself. I am going to go over to his studio next week and check it out for any future potential. We know he would like to have us come and broadcast from there. It sounds very exciting. The idea of doing it in front of an audience and having a real studio and maybe even a band, all of that stuff really sounds fun to me. We are really set up for convenience currently, and that is tough to let go of. But I think for the sake of getting our life back and perhaps growing for the future, it might make sense. Also, you can almost see it in our fake skyline over here. I mean, it's right up the street, so right over by TLG. Anyway, tonight is Tuesday, June 8th, 2021. My name is Jay Ryan. To my right is Nicole Ryan, and our guest this evening is Christian James Hand. You know him from the Session IG Live. I know him from the Smoking Tire and from Malibu Kitchen. that's we met at a car event for sure. Yep. And I'm dying to pick your brain and hear more about what it is that you do. And everyone is very excited that you're here because there's a lot of love coming out. Mr. Naudis and Groovy and Ganka Ganakashin. All right. I'm terrible at this, so forgive me. Announcements, Mrs. Let's just do a couple announcements real quick and get our guest in here this evening. The weekend. Let's see. Can we zoom in on your face? Can we see?
It's gone away a little bit.
Yeah,
but
you look amazing. You look amazing, especially. You looked amazing the day it happened, actually. It was kind of how did you? All right, go ahead. Tell people what happened. Our elevator was out. I'll start there.
The elevator's out, and I had to take the stairs, and it zapped my energy, and I didn't realize.
It's almost totally gone. You really did a good job of lubricating that thing.
I gotta keep lotioning it. It's very raw, but I screwed my face. I fell. Whatever.
Yeah, she fell. She fell on her hand and face. You can see the picture on Instagram. She looks like you got in a fight with a Terminator, or you are a Terminator maybe, and like a little bit of the skin's peeled back, but you're just unaffected. That's what it looked like.
Yeah.
Good job.
What it felt like.
Yeah, you're a rock star.
Thanks.
It's amazing. Oh, here, take this. I'm sorry. I skipped your water. Sorry about that. My bad. Hey, Calamarzo, what's up? All right, so that's how we started the weekend. It was Friday morning. The elevator was out, and we had to somehow. This shot, that is frightening. We were way too close there. That was all for your face. And we had to figure out the elevator situation. That was rough on the way to Breakfast Club. But you were a trooper, total champ. Made it. We didn't even stop. I mean, like, in fact, you didn't even tell me. I came back, got back in the car after Dunkin' Donuts. I was like, what the hell is this? You're bleeding. He said, oh, I thought you knew. I thought you knew. Gee whiz. You're something. Anyway, up to Breakfast Club and everything. That was a great day. Saturday, however, we had an impromptu breakfast with our lovely friends, the Bentons. First time out in public since COVID and everything. It was amazing. It was like we hadn't skipped a beat. So great to see them. Love to John Benton and B-Joy Benton, of course. Sunday. We caught up to Sunday. We didn't go to Malibu this weekend. Is that right?
Yes.
Yes, it is. What do we do?
The F1 race.
You're exactly right. We went to an F1 viewing party. Thank you very much to Pops 710 for the invite. And it was a great time over at his car warehouse. What do you call those car cave things? You know, ton of car collections and then big TV,
it's
beautiful
gorgeous.
Couches. Yeah,
I
beautiful
didn't know
place.
If there was a real name.
But it was a lovely omelet bar. They were making omelets and the Belgian waffles and crepes. It was quite a nice showing. I thought he made it sound very small. Like, oh, come over. You're going to know it's just a few people from Breakfast Club. It was everybody from Breakfast Club. There was like 100 people there. It was ridiculous. It was great. So thank you. GVBC. Sure. Oh gosh, here, hang on. Let's get first thing. Tradecraft Tuesday, everybody. Welcome back, Tradecraft Tuesday. Mrs. We've got in the indica front, we've got the Skywalker OG, and then over here we've got a sativa that is Christian Fletcher's Maui Wowie cannabis pen.
I want to try that one.
Yeah, me too. That was Christian Fletcher is a somebody because it's named after them. You know what I mean? Either a surfer or an artist, a musician, something. A surfer?
I think.
Oh yeah, it's a wave. I guess if you look at it. This is the worst. Here you go. I'll fire this up for you. And that sativa is generally your preferred, isn't it?
Correct.
Oh, well, I'm noticing that now. All right, here you go. Fire it up. They're usually white. This one's silver. so you know it's good. There you go. Now hopefully that'll settle me down a little bit. Viewer mail over here I'm going to fire up as well just because I just think this is cool. I think it's cool because we were early supporters of his, he was early supporters of ours, and he's doing so stinking well. We got a nice envelope in the mail, totally surprised. What am I trying to say? Totally unexpected. From the Motoring Club.
Oh, no way.
Mm-hmm. And what it is it's our founding membership card.
That is the coolest.
For supporting him from the very beginning. Jay and Nicole Ryan, and we're members 31. Isn't that? And then look at this. This is where I think it gets cool because I like physical, tangible things that were made and pressed, and I just like old shit. I guess I like old shit. This reminds me of, it's a token. You know, you hang on either... whatever, you could have at bars, cigar lounges used to have them for your humidor, that kind of thing. It's a marker. but it's we're number 31. It's our part. You would go on a
That's awesome.
key ring, technically, probably in this case, but it's also like a private key. You remember the Disney Club? We went to it once.
I was just thinking that.
33, yeah. Remember there was all sorts of little. It's like that. So huge support for the Michael and the Motoring Club.
Jim.
You guys are doing great job. Great job. The Motoring Journal as well is fantastic. They're just killing it. So keep it up. Thank you for including us. Awesome. And then lastly, we got to remind everybody that you go to Dual Shift if you want the GVBC stuff. You got your T-shirt here, and of course that's the old CBGB type of thing. Don't tell anybody. Shh. You got to come clean when the guy who would know is sitting here. And then get your sticker packs as well. All of this stuff is back in stock. It was out of stock. It is back in stock. Go check it out. All right. I feel like I'm going a mile a minute, but am I getting everything? Are we good?
So far.
All right. Let's go down the list here. Hellos, the weekend. Oh, Greg Grunberg. God darn it. I love Greg Grunberg.
I love that guy.
He was fantastic. What a great guest last week. And what a great friend. We picked up on the show where we had left off 15, 20 years ago, and we have not stopped texting back and forth. You saw we were playing videos back and forth. He went to Malibu to meet us this weekend, and we said, no, we're over at this party instead. Come here. He ended up hanging out in Malibu. And then we sent him the video, and then he sent the video back. It was just adorable. We're like two high school girls is what we're like. I want to say he's my buddy, but the truth is we're just both so goddamn immature about it. And it's hard making friends as an adult male. So anyway, shout out to Greg Grunberg. And then you remember on the show we talked about, he goes, oh, do you know Chris Sonnenberg, the director of, he created this series on Disney, whatever the fuck. Yeah. And I go, yeah, as a matter of fact, I do think I know that guy. Since then, we've rekindled, and he was here earlier today hanging out for a couple hours. So it's just crazy how the world works, and I'm so grateful for all of it. All right, so the weekend, Greg, Nicole's face, got that all off it. Shirts, stickers, back in stock, viewer mail, the Motoring Club. All right, real quick, we'll do a what are you driving today, because it's not the whole segment. As you recall, we're launching the YouTube channel on Friday, so we've got a quick teaser. It's what are you driving today? Roll it out. There you go. What are you driving today? 63 356B. Hey, 111. What are you driving today? Here we go. Oh, this is fun, David. Thumbs up for sure. This just proves that you don't have to go fast to have fun. You don't have to go fast. Can you see my smile already? Okay, I'm impressed. You don't need to stick it. He's already got it. My car's going to feel slow as balls after this, I'll tell you that. Pedal down. Yeah, baby. I'm sorry. I'm probably making the chair all sudsy before our guest gets in here. I'll maybe kill that. If you couldn't tell, I refilled it, and I love it when it's full. When Chris was here earlier, I was showing him all the gadgets in the studio and everything. I go, oh, it's kind of a little limp right now, so we filled it up with juice, and it's fire. Speaking of fire, let's do our commercials and get our guest in here. How's everybody doing on Instagram? Did I miss anything? What's happening over here? Other than this goddamn echo. Need an engineer. Hi, everybody. Peter, Philip, Bobby. God damn it, Bobby. I want to talk to you about propane. Cruising to Wellness is here. I'm going to talk about you. Let's start it up. Need a niflet? I fucking swallowed my tongue today. Everything's backwards. The thoughts are before the words and or vice versa.
I think it's Mercury retrograde, like you said.
Did I say that?
He did.
Who?
Our guest did.
Oh, yeah, it is. It is. I read that too. Mm-hmm. And we're like halfway through it? Not even, right? It's a while. It's a while.
It just started.
Great. Need a lift lately? Cruise into a healthy 2021 with Cruise into Wellness CBD. The cruise is with a Z. Use promo code LATE NIGHT if you're going to order from Cruise into Wellness. You're going to get 20% off that order. CruisinToWellness.com. CruisinToWellness.com.
CruisinToWellness.com.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. What's up, Cruising to Wellness? What's up, Bobby Holland? Bobby Holland Art. Oh, man. Yeah, you're really talented. It was great to meet you the other day up at Breakfast Club. He also does some work with Tradecraft Farms on Tradecraft Farm Tuesday here.
Cool.
Yeah. Did you get to meet him?
I
The
don't
tall
know.
guy?
Maybe.
Yeah, tall guy at Breakfast Club.
Hi,
How about
did.
that? They say all that separates men and boys is the coverage for their toys. St. Clair Insurance has coverage for your toys. Currently, the collector car market is all over the place. The market is shifting. It is like the San Andreas Fault in the 80s. It is just all over the place. Nothing but news. I have 2 bits of advice for you. 1, go get your car valuation. Your car is not worth what it was last year. I guarantee it. And most likely it's a lot more. Like a lot more. Like 20% more, could be 50% more. A lot more.
Thousands of dollars.
Absolutely. Second piece of advice, go check out your insurance, even your existing insurance. They're often not necessarily with the same marks. It works to their benefit to not be. So it's up to you to do the due diligence. I highly recommend not Cruise and Wellness. They're not going to do dick for your insurance. But coverage for your toys, however, is where you want to go. Check out St. Clair Insurance with coverage for your toys. CoverageForYourToys.com. CoverageForYourToys.com.
CoverageForYourToys.com.
And then my absolute positive favorite. Hi, this is Jay Ryan from Late Night Playset, reminding you to please like, subscribe, and comment below. This feeds the internet algorithm and eventually us as well. Please be a pal, like, subscribe, and comment below. It'll be fire. I absolutely hate talking about myself, and that may be surprising, being that I won't shut the hell up.
Mm-hmm.
Can you believe it? All right, everybody. I think I've done all of the business that we have to attend to, and I think I've told you all of the announcements, etc., that I have to tell you. What I now would like to do is take a quick break, but what that really is a short video from our friends at Oh So Delicious Hot Sauce, the hot sauce made by bears.
Oh, it's so delicious. It's the hot sauce made by bears. Garlic and serrano mixed with love and care. You can put it on your eggs, pour it on your rice. It's great on a leg, it's better on a slice. It's oh so delicious. It's the hot sauce made by bears. Oh, so delicious hot sauce. Great on everything except oatmeal.
Get your bottle today at ohsodelicious.org. $1 from every bottle sold goes to the National Military Family Association.
Wherever you're comfy. Wherever you are comfy. I can't believe we did it. And the smoke will clear in just a minute. All right. Kill the echoes, and we'll get this conversation going. It is my great pleasure to be sitting here right now with Christian James Hand. You know him from The Session, IG Live. Is it, what station are you on? Is it KLOS?
KLOS.
KLOS here in the Los Angeles area.
Yep.
And I've been looking forward to having you on the mic since I met you and heard your voice and then found out that you were quite an interesting fellow. So thanks for coming over, buddy.
I feel this is a little bit like your dick is way bigger than my dick.
or
Or you're overcompensating
or
for
it
a
is
very
so the
small
opposite.
dick,
Exactly.
and I don't need a Ford F-350 dually. I can just be in a Mini. This is ridiculous. I sit on my fucking floor and do my thing. This is like...
that's all you need, right? Is an
This
iPhone?
is ridiculous. This is like the fucking craziest shit ever. I thought when I saw it on the actual TV, like on YouTube and shit, I was like, oh, yeah, that's dope. And now this is, I mean, it's like, you see the fucking lights, and then you have a fucking, well, I will say you have, the misstep is that you really now need to upgrade to the bubble machine that has the smoke inside the bubbles.
Oh.
I'm just saying.
Okay, I was not aware of this.
Oh, that
All
shit's
right,
fire.
We're going to go to Twitch, and then we're going to start one of those, you can sponsor this to get the
Oh
better
yeah,
equipment.
and then you
deal.
should just have like those thermostat, those thermometers in the outside of fire stations. It'll get you to the point where you can afford a.
That's exactly what I'm talking about.
It's
the
literally a
fundraiser.
bubble machine that puts smoke in the fucking bubbles. It's the craziest thing I've ever seen. I was like, this is amazing.
Yeah, it seems like it would be a lot of work.
Yeah, but I mean, if you had that thing and the smoke machine, and then a bubble machine that had smoke in it, you would have the trifecta.
I think what I want is the confetti cannon. We don't even have
no.
the throw in this little tiny space for it. But if we end up going over to Greg Grumberg's studio, where there is actually a real space for a real everything, I mean, that could be a game changer.
That's a
I don't know.
bonus.
We'll see what happens.
I did on the TV show that I'm, hopefully going to get my TV show done. One of the mandatory things is confetti cannons.
You serious?
Yeah. I was like, I want 2 confetti cannons, one on either side, and then I want another button that I press that shoots flames 60 feet up into the air when the track is really good.
What is? Oh, it's because the DJ setup and everything else.
Well, so it would be like this fucking, this guitar track's amazing. Confetti cannons.
Oh yeah.
This bass track is fire. 60-foot flames.
You're getting it.
I know. I was like, it's not too hard, people.
In the effects industry, they have something. I almost don't want to give it away because I want to do it, but we could both do it. Actually, it'd probably be better for you. They have what's called a debris cannon, and it's fake debris, but it's whenever in a movie an explosion when there's rock and concrete and everything else flying at you. Like we used it at the Scream Awards and stuff with the DeLorean and all those special effects. I'm thinking there's got to be something where that would work because it doesn't actually hurt anybody. It's just those foam rocks,
No, I mean, that's the extra special level. You only get to use that like once every 2 or 3 shows. You can't burn out the debris cannon.
Can you imagine every song you hit? It's the when Video Toaster came out, it was the screen crackle effect.
Right. Got to be careful with that one. Only a few songs or elements of a song will get the debris cannon.
What is the what's the show you're talking about? Well, I don't know. I don't really know much about you.
I want to get the TV show version of The Session done.
And that's in the works. You pitched it. It's being thought about.
If by in the works you mean every single streamer's dick punched me over the course of COVID, yeah, no, it's totally in the works.
That's exactly. Yeah, that's familiar.
That's very great. It's very great when people are like, I need you to check all these boxes. And you're like, okay. And then you check every single box and they still go, that's not quite all the boxes. And you're like, yeah, but it is all the boxes. And they're like, there's a couple of boxes that you don't get to see that we check.
Yeah,
there's
this B and C and D
category. Yeah, we got secret boxes over here you don't have access to. And I'm like, oh, for Christ's sake. Should I just see what the boxes look like? And they're like, no, we changed the tag on the box constantly as well.
Yeah, they're rewriting that box
constantly moving target. I'm like, God damn it. But yeah, no, that's the goal is to eventually get this thing turned into a TV show.
The whole business is like that. It's not just
it's a nightmare.
I'm sure you already know that.
It's a nightmare.
There's something going on. This is a humble brag, like I'm up for, but like I probably won't even get. But like the process of processes that you've already gotten through, but there's so many more hoops to jump through for whether it's the the network and then the whatever and then the whatever and then the goddamn president's nephew's got to see it and all that other shit. And if it's the truth though because he's the younger generation and all that bullshit. So it's kind of like it doesn't matter what level or what the fuck you're at. It's all the same.
Heard it all, man. Heard it all. It's great. Really makes you want to get up in the morning. And you're like, oh, cool. I guess I'll just bang my head against this rock. Luckily, it's a debris cannon.
Oh, yeah.
So it's not real.
Where did this all start for you?
It's disturbing is what I look like.
Oh, you used the monitor?
That's horrible.
Well, camera 5 is yours.
Do you look you ever look into the camera and just go, oh, hi, Dad? You have that?
Yeah. For me, it's Mom, which is way worse.
Wow.
But yeah,
that is tough.
I look just like her. Yeah.
Yeah, mine's like, hi, Dad. When did it start? How did I start? Was that the question?
I don't know. Yeah, well, basically, I guess we should start with music, right? Because this all stems from music, and then how on earth was music big in your life? Always? When did it start speaking to you? What's the
music was that I have Aspergers, and music was like the thing that soothed the savage beast without knowing that that's what it was doing. So I very early on got very, very. My dad is a huge music fan. Like, he's the guy. So he was turning me on to stuff when I was really, really young. I think what he did was my joke is that my dad worked out the way to get me to shut the fuck up was to sit me on the floor, put headphones onto me, and then just play songs and records at me. And then I would just sit there and not say anything to him for hours and hours and hours. And he couldn't have been happier with that situation. So he sort of turned me into a music head just to make managing me easier. And then from there, I was, in high school, I was in bands and continued to, my collection of music is pretty exhaustive. Like, it's every single genre. Like, I don't have, like, I go into people's houses who back in the day had like 10 CDs, and I would just be like, there's a few more than that available out there if you want to go fucking, let's go to Amoeba. Like, I go to Amoeba and I have a panic attack because I know that there's like 2,000 of my favorite songs there that I will never fucking hear ever, ever, ever. And I'm like, you're completely okay with like 10 CDs and like,
I was going to say, I bet I could predict what they are, though. I mean, I bet there's like a Mariah Carey and a Phil Collins.
It would be Phil would be mandatory. I have my Phil Collins tattoo.
Love.
it was like it was always like it wouldn't even be a wide. It would be like country. Now hits of 1986 country, and that would be it. And I was just like, fuck me, like you have painted yourself into a corner with that CD selection, my friend. So I was always like listening all over the place to every single thing that I could find, and then I played instruments, and then when I left, I went to college to be a set designer. Which is why I was impressed with this. Yeah, I was going to be a set designer or a lighting designer.
Dude, well then okay. You're the only guy who gets my whole little forced
Yeah,
perspective
no, I've got the whole thing. It's amazing. So that was my original goal, and then I went, and my school was a really, really great school, but they were teaching us how to draw with pencils in like 1988, and I was just kind of like, that there's like CAD cams coming, and we should probably be trained in that. And they were like, no, blacksmiths.
Oh, right.
You shall learn how to do it with pencils, so that then when you can do it with the computer, you'll be running with the fucking weights off. I'm like, no, I don't need to run with the weights off. I need to. So I just got to the point where I was like, I'm not sure this is really going to work out for me. So I dropped out, and then when I went back, I got my degree in English literature, but I was always a huge radio fan. Yeah. Like radio is like my number one love. Which is like that's like loving being a blacksmith, and I was like, a great career choice that was. I'm going to sue my guidance counselor because what you really should have said was buy a bunch of fucking parking lots, and then I could have been a millionaire forever. But instead, it was like follow your dreams.
Yeah.
To being broke, but somehow content. It's like
we must have gone to the same school. I had that guidance counselor. Yeah,
she was a lovely woman, Miss Biello. I loved her. She was really beautiful. But I do think that there was a professional malpractice in that. She didn't suggest that I abandoned my hopes and dreams of being some sort of like cultural mover and shaker. So then I went out on the road, like I graduated from college, and I worked in the college radio station, and I thought that was it. I was like, okay, cool, that's my radio career done. So then I went out, I graduated from college, and I went out on the road with a bunch of bands, and like this, it's not name dropping, it's just my curriculum vitae. It was like Peter Gabriel and the Wu-Tang Clan and all these dudes.
Oh my God.
Yeah, no, it's I've done some stuff.
Yeah,
man. Like you don't get this much gray, and you don't get this worn out in life unless you've done some fucking shit. So PM Dawn was my big.
Oh, I Die Without You.
He was my big guy.
Oh my God,
that's my favorite dude.
Me too.
Rest in peace.
Don't
Prince
get me
B.
started.
So that was the dude that I toured with most of the time.
Who did they did the remake with? Was it Enigma? Who was the? There was a remake of that song with PM Dawn and. You don't even know what I'm talking about, do you? All right, forget it. I don't want to get stuck on it. I just used to love that song.
That was some of the greatest days ever. So I did that, and then I went and worked at a record label. That sucked.
Oh Lord, wait, that's from one side of the fence to the other.
Oh yeah, it was because like I was on the road, and then I got offered some pretty big tours, and I realized that the last thing I wanted to do is like I'm a homebody, so the last thing I wanted to do was to be out on the road all the fucking time, and it was like when you were on the road, you were spending a lot of the time working out what your next gig was going to be. So you can really enjoy being on the road because like, oh, I got to get off this fucking thing. And then I got to start another tour. So I just got to the point where I was like, I don't know if I want to do this anymore. It was also like the money was ridiculous and the lifestyle is crazy addicting. So I took myself off the road and started working at the record label, and that sucked because what you'll find out that's interesting about record labels is that they don't give a fuck about music.
Music? Are you shitting me?
No, it was like, hey, we have a blue widget, sell the blue widget. And then there was like, people don't like the blue widget. Well, fuck it, put the blue widget down. Do we have any red widgets? Let's see if red widgets will sell.
Yeah, they deal with the music.
It was awful. So I was like, so I got offered a pretty good promotion, and I knew that if it was the same sort of Aspergerian response. Like I knew if I did that, then that would seal my fate, and I'd want to, I'd stay in record labels just because I'd watched a bunch of people concrete their path, and it's very hard to get off that path when it starts being like $150,000 salaries and fucking travel and expense accounts, and you get to be the big swinging dick.
Oh, and
it
goes up from there, yeah.
So I was like, I have to back
out. And you
out.
probably would have killed at it too. So
I was really good at it.
I would imagine that would have locked you in. Yeah.
I had a really good ear. There was a song that went, "This is the rhythm of the night."
It's on every infomercial late at night with it.
One of my favorite songs of all time. So I was in Europe, and I heard this fucking song, and I was like, oh, I need to find this song. So I found the song, and I did some research, and I found out that it was unlicensed in America. So I brought it back to the record label, and we had this dude that was in charge of our dance department. And I'll never forget him, Pete Arden. You're out there, you son of a bitch. So I played it to him, and he looks at me, and he was a gay dude, and he was like, this sounds just like Lamal's Never-Ending Fucking Story. We're not putting that record out. And then it sold 2 million copies that fucking summer. And then he came back to me and was like, okay, if you got any more suggestions, I'll listen to them now. And I'm like, no, you get the one, dude. That's it. I'm never coming to you with anything ever. Yeah, I don't care if I got fucking While My Guitar Gently Weeps. You're never hearing it. So I was at the record label. That wasn't about music. So I left that. And then I started working at a tiny little club in Westchester called 7 Willow Street.
Wait, are you from the East Coast?
Yeah, I'm originally English, believe it or not. And then I moved to Long Island for high school. And
Where?
Port Jefferson.
Oh, I grew up right across the Sound in Connecticut.
Gateway to the North Shore, man.
No shit.
Bridgeport fucking...
That was just it, the Port Jeff Ferry. I mean,
Bridgeport, Port Jefferson Ferry.
That was it. That was how you got from.
We were literally
otherwise, you had to drive all the way down to Manhattan, in through,
or come off and
Queens.
go all the way up north and go up to Oyster Bay, whatever. Not Oyster Bay, the
by
Orient
Montauk,
Point. Yeah,
yes.
the other ferry. So we were like, it was, you know. My joke is that I left. If have you ever seen the remake of Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy with Gary Oldman, which is amazing.
But it's like the ferry on the Port Jeff side.
Well, it's like that's what the color scheme of England was when I left. It was like these muted grays and browns, and then I moved to Long Island. It was like hyper color, like fucking 1980s, like everything's neon. And I was like, where?
Summertime,
the fuck
I see, yes.
are like just everything? Like the clothing was neon, everything was neon. Half the football team was on coke. I was like, what the fuck
the timing,
is this place?
Of course, yeah.
Yeah, dude, 1983 Long Island was like,
my God.
it was like everything was a fucking Vision Streetwear fucking ad.
I forgot, yeah,
And I was like,
hyperwear.
what the fuck is this place? So I lived there until high school ended, and then I went to college right outside Manhattan at a place called SUNY Purchase.
I know it so well. Again, 684. I used to drive
Right there.
up and past it right the whole time.
So that was my college, and then when I left college,
What years were that? What were we around in the same time?
probably I went to high school. I graduated high school in '87. Went straight to Purchase. Was there from. I took a year off, so I was there until '93, and then I lived in Portchester until '97, which was when the radio station moved me out here. So I was working at this club, which was an incredible club. It was run by a fucking one-eyed madman named Fred.
Where were you? I know Portchester a little bit.
Portchester, it was like 7 Willow Street was down inside, like down in the town itself, off of this little. Like
but what was
cul-de-sac.
what was the club you're
It was
talking
called 7 Willow Street.
Oh, that was the name of it. I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
yeah, it
I'm
was-
sorry.
But it was,
It's like, well, you take a left at
yeah,
the
yeah,
old
it was
gas
the-
station. And
Yeah,
then
I was like, I can't tell you any more ways other than I'll just keep repeating 7 Willow Street until the penny
Eventually
drops.
he'll get
Eventually
it.
he'll get it, or we'll just ignore that. Just to hope that we'll find a way out of it. Am I having a stroke? So,
oh my God. Sorry.
yeah, so it was I was like, so I worked there, and Fred was a madman, but it was wonderful because I got to see like, you know, the original lineup of Soul Coughing playing, and like these just incredible bands that came through there. And then, you know, he would book bands like there was a band called Leica and the Cosmonauts, and he would book these fucking bands that nobody knew and the internet didn't exist. And then he'd be furious when there was like 10 people there, and I'd be like, you fucking booked Leica and the fucking Cosmonauts. Like, they barely know they're in the band. Like, how are we supposed to put 1,000 people in this fucking 300-person club to break even on this
No
fucking
one's
band?
ever heard the music.
Yeah, I was like, you know, we'd go out in a van, in a truck, and I have to be stapling flyers to like telephone poles, and I'm
Lost
like,
Dog
nobody
and
fucking.
this band you've never heard
I'm like,
of.
nobody cares. Like, somebody's selling a couch, and then Leica and the Cosmonauts. Like, I got more likely I'm gonna go fucking see the couch. So Fred drove me crazy, but I loved them. But when I was there, I met the kids that threw the T-shirts out for the radio station because the radio station had just started. So
before they got the cannon. That's right. People used to
we used to
chuck
throw them by hand. So the radio station had just started, and our club was really cool because it was about, I forget the actual, I'm tempted to think it might have been like 700 people. So it was a really good size venue for mid-sized bands that were leaving Manhattan and wanted to hit one more show before they went out to Connecticut
yes.
and higher. So it was a really cool
Before
spot.
they went out to Toad's place.
Good old Toad's place in New Haven. How can you not? So I was there, and it was a great spot because it became this really nice cohesive relationship between the radio station and this club through meeting these kids with the T-shirts. And I was like, hey, man, can I get that fucking job? Because it doesn't look like this guy fucking is going to go anywhere with like the fucking Cosmonauts. we're not doing a rev share here. It's not really working out. You know, all the beer I can drink, and I don't drink beer, is fucking useless. What kind of incentive is this? So I met with the kids from the radio station. They were like, yeah, dude, come and work with us. So I went and started working with them. And then one day, word came down that they'd done a shuffle of all the DJs. So the overnight guy had been slid up to the night slot. So the overnight position was open, and they had offered it to this dude who had a fucking stutter, and he turned it down because he was offended that he hadn't been offered the night shift. And I'm like, you fucking like know the room, dude. Like you got to. So he was like, he was one of the.
I tried to get radio jobs when I was a kid. I've been in those rooms and I was being turned down. If you had the opportunity,
yeah, man. Like if you have to just
especially
take it, don't be
local radio.
pissed, especially local radio. And then don't be pissed even more. And you have like somebody's like, no, you have a stutter, go on the air. And he was like, I'm not getting enough air. I'm like, what the fuck?
Wow, that's.
So I ran into
the Howard Stern movie.
It was ludicrous. So I ran into the production guy, Jack's studio, and I was like, "Hey, I need to cut a demo right now because I want that fucking gig." So then I within an hour, I had my demo and I threw it on the program.
Did you just write
director.
a bunch of stuff?
Yeah, because
on
I mean,
the fly and
it's
just
not.
record it?
I mean, like.
But I mean,
I'm
you
in the
didn't have,
industry. It's not hard, man. Like,
But I mean, what did you do? You just read some donut spots.
Yeah, I
into
just
the
literally was like, coming up with fucking a band, and then when we're done with that, we'll play 4 more bands, and then when we come back, don't forget go out and visit the van at the gas station. We'll give you a T-shirt if you can say the phrase it pays and all that
mic.
stupid shit. You know,
So
I was
you
like,
did DJing it up.
so I knew it. You know, I was like, I'd heard the gig enough times, so I threw the CD on my boss's desk, and I was like, hey, that's my audition. And he hired me an hour later, and then it was the overnight slot, and then he fired the afternoon guy and then slid me up in 3 months, which really pissed off the stuttery guy. So I was
the
then
guy hung around.
I think he was still he was
Oh man,
he was not happy. But so I ended up taking the afternoon drive slot, and then that station flipped format to country, and then they brought me out here to Los Angeles, and that's how the LA move happened. And I've been here since '97, and then.
Wow, so you got moved out here for work?
Yeah, because it was.
Was it like the same?
It was the same format. It was very cleverly named. One was X107 and one was Y107. So I came out here onto Y107.
I don't understand.
That's very difficult. So they brought me out here, and I was the night jock here for 2 years, almost 2.5, and then we got a new program director, and that guy was a moron who liked cocaine more than radio. And he did the smart thing and decided to fire the highest rated DJ on the radio station, which was me. So I was like, this is nonsensical.
Well, that's a Howard Stern parallel there.
Oh, dude, it was. I couldn't believe it.
This guy's doing too well. Get him out of here.
He's great. Get rid of him,
Yeah,
and then
the
we'll just
people like
kill
him.
the radio station. So that was my radio career, and then I worked at this thing in Web 1.0 called Soundbreak, which was like a really total groundbreaking entertainment portal where we were playing music, we had a chat room, and we had live cameras on us. Except this is in 2001, so everyone's on fucking dial-up. So it was
No. And in a tiny little box in the corner of your
unbelievable.
real player.
Oh, dude, terrible, but so good. And then we blew, I think it was like $95 million in a year, which was just orgiastic spending, which was great. We had a blimp. It was like so much fun to be part of like that whole thing. Like we were out, our studios were at the top of the building that is right opposite. There's a sort of like a medium rise building that's right opposite the old Tower Records location. We were in there and the studios looked out over the whole of the bay.
Oh,
it was incredible. The one with Dome, the restaurant, the Dome was in the bottom of it. It was so fucking bananas. But these people were so insane that they had 4 floors of this building. We were only in one of them, and the other 3 were completely empty. And they were like, "No, we're going to expand." And we were like, "No, we're fucked. Like, you guys are insane. Like, who is in charge of the spending?" And we'd have these big meetings, you know. And then the CEO would stand up and be like, "We're going to be the next MTV." And then she would introduce us to all the new employees. So one day she was like, "Okay," she was like, "Henry, do you want to stand up?" So Henry stood up, and we're like, she looks at us, she goes, "Henry is our newest employee. He's our concierge." And we were like, I was like, and she's like, "Christian, yes." And it was me and Webb were like the 2 troublemakers. She was like, "Yes, Christian." I was like, what does he do? And she was like, "Well, if remember Webvan? She was like, if Webvan's coming to your house, he will go and he will sign for your deliveries. He'll take your car to get washed." I was like, this is my bitch. So then for my show, I would literally send him to like Koreatown to buy me like crickets that I could eat. I'd be like, go get me deep fried, fucking savory cricket. I would send him all over the place.
It's all on the air, so
All
everyone's
on the
going
air.
through this with you.
So good. And eventually she
That's
was
like
like, Christian, you
vintage
have
Letterman
to.
stuff, honestly.
It was amazing. I
Yeah.
was like, this is a dude who I could literally make do anything, and it's his salary job. So shockingly, that company went out of business and filed for bankruptcy. Who'd have thought?
Yeah, you were describing like WeWork and all of those other.
It was literally like $80 million in 1 year. I mean, it was, and that's like 2001 $80 million. So it was like
Right.
crazy money. So that ended, and then I started working in music videos, seeing if I could find a home there. And I worked on like the Hey Ya video and a bunch of like I got to the point where I was
Hey, as in the was it Outkast?
Outkast.
Yeah, that was huge.
Oh, it was
Huge.
crazy.
I mean, that
video-
took over the world.
Oh, dude.
SNL even took over SNL that week.
The thing that was bananas about that was that we weren't actually allowed to hear the song before. The only person I was in art department, so the only person that could actually hear the song was our head of the art department. Nobody else had been leaked the song prior. So the first time we heard it was on set.
Oh, come on.
And that fucking song came out, and we were like, so this is going to be the biggest fucking hit of the year. And I don't know if you remember the video, but like Andre.
We got it. Yes, please go ahead.
Andre 3000 like played all the different characters in the band. It was all telecraned and all that kind of
Sure.
shit. And every time Andre would come out, the director, I think it was Brian Baker, the director would had a mic. He was like one of those directors who directed through a mic. Those fucking
come on.
dickbags. So he did the whole thing where he would like introduce the character that was now coming out, be like, on bass, Washington Jones, and then fucking
I see.
Andre would come out in the full outfit and adopt that character. It was so badass. It was like I worked on a bunch of music videos, and it was the only music video I worked on where we were not sick of the song by the end of the day, and we had heard it like 9. I mean, we had to like each of those, it's like 7 characters on stage, so we had to shoot it 7 times for each different character with
coverage
the crane
and everything, I'm sure.
And
yeah.
the crane's like on a computer program, so it's like doing the same moves over and over again. And even with that, we weren't fucking tired of it. So I did that and a bunch of other music videos, and then I was kind of like, once again, like they don't really. Now it's an ad for the blue widget that the assholes at the record label are trying to fucking sell. Like I'm still not working on anything to do with music. Nobody cares. So then I went and worked at Sirius. And working at Sirius is like working at the Kaiser Permanente of radio.
Were you in New York or here?
I was at both.
Okay.
I was at the Willoughby HQ here, before, and then I went to the second one, and then I got fired, which happens. So, okay. So but I started doing the vocals on the radio at Sirius, and then when I got fired, I called a friend of mine who was on the morning show at a station called The Sound.
Okay.
And I called him up, and I was like, hey, who's on the air with a guy named Mark Thompson, who was from Mark and Brian, who were a huge foundational radio team from LA.
They were around for a long time.
Forever.
When I moved here, they were still on.
And they were like, they were at that point in radio.
It was Mark and Brian and Jamie and Danny.
Yeah.
When I moved here.
And they killed Jamie and Danny. Like,
Yeah.
they machine gunned. I mean, they have a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. Like,
Right.
I was actually talking to him. I was telling a friend of mine this story this morning. I was like, I was talking to Mark one day, and I was like, what was the fucking craziest day of your radio career? Because they did crazy shit. I mean, this was like, their radio career was like back in the day when like the radio promotion guy would show up from the record label with like a bag of cocaine and 2 hookers and walk into the fucking office and have everybody do coke and hookers and then play the new single at the same time. You know, and just be like, while you get that blowjob, we really think that this Motley Crue record's gonna fucking light up. And he's like, yeah, no. Yeah, we'll add it. I don't care. We'll do anything. Just keep the coke and the hookers showing up. I'll play all your fucking records all week long. Don't care. So it was like that era of radio. So
It was a different pay to play back then.
Dude, there was like the legit pay to play.
Yeah.
One of my favorite stories. I have a buddy. I know a guy named Halloran who was the program director of 91X in San Diego. So 91X was in this building, and then right next to it was a used record store that Halloran ran. So the record labels.
Oh, that's funny. A used record store next to
It gets so much better. He would take the
How do they
music
get their
meetings.
inventory?
He would take the music meetings with the dudes from the labels in the record store, and they would bring in the box of promos, and he would literally open the box of promos and price gun them into the racks as he was talking to them about the fucking records that they wanted to have. And the person who was telling me was the record label guy, not Halloran. And Halloran's sitting there like, yeah, man. He's like, fucking, so what do you want? And it's like clearly says like, do not sell written on the bottom. Remember those stickers on the CDs were like
Amazing.
promo copy, and he's like
Absolutely.
literally price gunning the promo copy and putting it into the rack. So anyway, so I was talking to
Every free DVD or Blu-ray we ever got.
yeah,
from
it was
the
a
industry.
promo.
Yeah.
It's like, imagine price gunning those in front of the dude who's
Oh,
like,
it's the
what are
greatest.
you doing? Like, and charging like full freight. So free inventory, like literally free, and it's all profit. Like there's no loss in that whatsoever. So I was talking to Mark Thompson. I was like, what was the fucking craziest day of your radio, Chris? I talk all the time, but I will shut the fuck up if people are telling me amazing stories about shit that I wish I'd done. And he was like, dude, the craziest day was I went home and I flattened out the $1 million book bonus on the kitchen counter in front of my wife, and we just laughed at it.
Like the check, just
like a $1
smooth the
million
check out.
check in like 1989 for a book bonus, which is like 4 times a year if you hit your numbers. So it's like that's a $4 million bonus on top of whatever. And then they would have like, they would have a helicopter, and Sammy Hagar would like parachute into the studio while he was singing a fucking. So like the most amazing days of radio. Like I'm in it now, and it's just literally like.
Well, it's all automated now. I mean, there's barely even any real interaction anymore.
It's I love radio so much that I will do any version of it they ask me to, but it's really I wish that I'd been allowed to be a DJ. Anyway, back in the day. So the longer story shorter is.
Oh, I love it. You make it longer. It's all good.
I just sort of eventually found that I had to, nothing that I was doing was allowing me to just talk about how much I loved music and the music itself. Because the radio shows were like, talk for 30 seconds. I'm like, yeah, do you fucking mind? Like, what am I, and for those 30 seconds, like 10 of them, that's why I call myself Christian James Hand, is that when I started at Sirius, because I hate.
Wait, is that not your name?
No, it is, but like nobody calls themselves 3 names unless they're an asshole.
Oh, yeah, I see.
You know what I'm saying? It'd be like Dave Jackson. It's like Dave Timothy Dalton Jackson. It's like, say all of my names or I will stab you and wear your face as my own face. So I was like, I hate air names, like these fucking dudes with these like dick fucking like lightning and these fucking, like it's not your name, Joe. You don't get any fucking cooler because you have a stupid air name. Like it doesn't make you any less fat and unlikely to get laid because you've called yourself Scuba John. So I was like so irritated by air names that so when I started at Sirius, I decided that I was going to, and I was on like the punk rock hip hop, like edgy skater channel with like Bam Margera and all those guys. So I was like, all right, this is a good venue for it.
With your present, no, with a different, all right, I'm sorry, you go ahead.
So
I'm trying to picture what the hell you're programming against Bam Margera on this
basically it was like the skater channel. So he had his show and then we had our shows, and it was like Tony Hawk had his show. So we were like,
okay, I see.
We were those dudes. It was like just like the extreme skater channel.
Right.
Like,
the alt channel.
Well, the alt channel was the alt channel.
Oh, excuse
me. We were faction. So I was like, all right, cool. So they're like, all right, well, what do you want your air name to be? And I was like, Debbie Hernandez. And they were like, what? And I was like, Debbie Hernandez. So I went on the air for like 6 months as Debbie Hernandez, which is the greatest air name of all fucking time.
Did anything?
No. I even had like a fake bio written up that talked about like I was trans and I'd actually like moved to Mexico because I had to escape America's bigoted philosophies. But I joined the army and I got stationed in Mexico. And then I transitioned to being a woman and changed my name legally to Debbie Hernandez and then got hired at. And I had them put this all on the website. Like it was all
just a boy named Sue. I thought it was just like, a boy with a girl's name. He was like, no, I got this whole backstory.
No, I had a whole backstory, man. I was like, if I'm going to do this, I'm committing to this piece 110% because. And I did this on my last the radio station on The Sound when I got the afternoons there. I was like, the thing about radio that I love is like you imagine what the person looks like from their voice, and then they never sound the way they do. Never. So one of the things I did when I was on the air with one of my old friends, and I was like, you know what we should do? We took, because it's easier to get people air chat. Like you don't have to send them tapes anymore. You can just send them MP3s. So I was like, let's reach out to all of the police sketch artists we can outside of California and send them our voices, and then they have to draw what we look like from the voices.
Genius.
And I was always like a fat, short guy who was like on his 9th divorce, who was like bankrupted completely by these fucking ex-wives of mine that I can't fucking stand anymore. And I was just like a frumpy dude with headphones. I was like, that's what I sound like? I always thought I sounded like an overweight lesbian. So I was, I was Debbie Hernandez. And then we get a fucking, I get an email and I have to sit down with my program director, which happens more times than you would. It probably happens as many times as you would imagine that it happens. So I sat with my program director and he was like, all right, man, we gotta like the main HQ is like pretty bummed about this Debbie Hernandez thing. Like they want to stop you from calling yourself Debbie Hernandez. And I was like, I thought we were the extreme skate fucking like Bam Margera's like literally stapling his dick to Steve-O on the radio.
Yeah.
And the thing you guys are bummed about is that I'm calling myself Debbie Hernandez. So I was like, well, fuck all y'all. And I called myself Christian James Hand. So it took all of the airtime to say Christian James Hand because it takes like a millisecond longer to say 3 names than it does to say 2 names. And that millisecond is my fucking millisecond. So I'm Christian James Hand. And then it just kind of stuck. So I apologize to everybody. But it was really just a fuck you to Sirius. And now it's like everybody's got to bear the brunt of it.
That's amazing. So what did you go by your whole life, Chris?
No, actually, what's really weird, I didn't realize this, but in high school, I didn't let anybody call me Christian, and I don't let anybody call me Chris. Because if you yell Chris in a crowd, like 16 dudes and 4 girls turn around. It's like the worst.
No, it's terrible.
So I don't remember, and it seems that at some point in high school, I told everybody that I wanted to be called Chris. So in my yearbook, it's like Chris Hand, Chris Hand, Chris Hand. So I'm like looking at a dude. It's like it's not even. It's like it literally feels like I'm like post-op. Like I look at it, I'm like, I don't even know who this person is.
Yeah.
Who is this Chris Hand?
That's it.
But I've never allowed anybody to call me Chris publicly. But the really scary part is that I've blanked it out completely from my brain. Like I don't remember any of high school being like everybody should call me Chris.
Yearbook and page through?
I was actually I was senior class president and layout editor of the yearbook. So yes,
So you had extra copies laying around.
both of them. Signed them all to myself. You're the greatest. See you over summer.
Stay cool.
Stay cool, bro.
Don't ever
So
change.
cool having my locker next to yours. Yeah, Chris Hand. But I don't, like 4 years of high school where I told people to call me Chris and I don't remember any of it. I'm like, this is fucking bananas.
Her family, when she was a kid, they moved from upstate New York to Virginia for a year or two. And during that entire time in school, she developed a British accent.
Oh, that's a good one.
She acted a British accent for the entire time
That's
she
good.
was there.
That's pop art.
With a backstory?
There was a British exchange student, and I got made fun of for my Rochester accent, so I just flipped.
You were like, because they're gonna. It's
Don't
like
make fun of
they'll
me.
make fun.
Like, I'll find a way to fix it.
So you had a fake English accent.
Yeah.
How was it? Terrible.
It was passable, clearly.
Clearly in Virginia, they never saw any of them. Yeah, they were like, I maybe seen one English person on television, but
You could be from anywhere, yeah.
could be
it
from
doesn't
anywhere.
matter,
But
yeah.
I'll take it. I'll take it. She's English, clearly. Funny how our parents don't talk nothing English. Yeah, when I came over, that was like the first thing they got rid of was my English accent, which is really incredibly stupid.
Well, you went from England to New England, though, so it's kind of like
I did,
our
but my
affect
parents-
in New England is almost a non.
It's
we're perfect
and
for broadcasting.
It's
actually.
very nondescript, as is my English accent. You know, like if you're like a Guy Ritchie character, you sound like this, so your fucking accent is really solid. I came from.
But he's
sort of-
almost more Cockney, isn't he?
That's what I'm saying.
Oh,
Like
I
the
see.
Cockney one's fucking easy, mate. Like you
gotcha.
can't fall out of that. It's fucking cake. But my thing was so sort of like nondescript that it was easy to get rid of. And then Asperger's has this facet called echolalia, which means that you tend to
Mimic.
mimic
I
the
have it, yeah.
sound of people's voices around you, and your
Any kind of
cadence
tone and
becomes
vibration,
there.
I mimic. Yeah, I
So
can't help it.
that was immediate. And then the other thing was that Americans suck about people with fucking accents. You people are the rudest fucks on the planet. Like nobody in England would be like, "Oh my God, say it again. Say that word again." You just, and over here,
It's awesome.
everything over here was like, oh my God, say it again. Say black again. Say walk again. Say talk. Oh my God, Julia, come and listen to the creature that says things in a different way than we do. And I'm just like, oh, for fuck's sake. I already feel different enough inside without this finger pointing bullshit. So I decided to get rid of my accent, and then anything I had left, this is fucking bananas. Anything I had left, my program director at my first radio station hated my English accent, any remnant that I had left so much. This was not a lie. This is exactly how it went. I would sit, so they had a thing called an air check. Back in the day, it was like a cassette that was in record pause, and every time you hit the microphone, it would start recording. So then the next day you have this awful experience, which is where you have to sit with your boss and just listen to you talk while this prick who can't do the fucking job that he's talking to you about,
Tells
by the
you
way,
how
which
to
is
do
like
it
one of
better.
the only
Yeah.
ways that I've ever seen. Like I've never like.
This is oversight. We're talking about oversight.
It's
here.
I've never been in another job where they're like, I can't do the job, but here's how you should do the job.
Yeah.
So he would sit there and he'd like fucking be like, okay,
Notes,
you can
basically.
tighten that up, you can blah 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 blah. But then I would say, like our station was called Today's Rock X107. So I'd say Today's Rock X107. So I'm not lying to you. This is exactly out of Howard Stern. He would
I was
write-
going to do it. How'd you
dude,
know I was
it's
going to do
brutal. It's brutal. He would write Today's Rock on the dry erase board, and then he would underline rock a million times.
Because that's what we're supposed to hit.
And then he would look at me and be like, Today's Rock X107. And I'd be like,
Let's hear it.
Today's Rock X107. No.
No, that's not right.
Today's Rock X107. I'm like, it sounds
What am
exactly
I
the same in
missing?
my head. Like, I don't understand. What am I getting wrong? What am I getting? And the other one was like, English people, like we tend to take the G's off of the end of things. So
Sure.
be like going somewhere.
Soften it up, yeah.
Smashing pumpkins. So I'd say smashing pumpkins. And he would write smashing. And then he would underline the G. And then he would look at me and be like, with me, smashing pumpkins. Smashing pumpkins. And I was like, I'm fucking going to kill myself live on the air today. I think this might be my last shift ever.
But this is a manager
This
who's
is a program director. Like,
program director who is taking on the job of a speech pathologist.
had never done the job either. Like, couldn't if I made that prick go in and fucking crack a mic open, he would have sucked at the job so bad.
You could have air checked him.
And I'd have been like, smashing pumpkins, smashing. So that went on for fucking way too long. But
WNBC.
it was exactly
WNBC.
pig vomit. Like I couldn't believe that I was
gotta
living.
be more like Imus. It's awful.
That's
Awful.
I was like, I'm living exactly Howard Stern's fucking life right now. Like this is fucking
The
craziness.
best part of that is Betty Thomas. Like she touches the camera angle.
Yeah.
Because everything you're like, oh, this is getting weird.
Yeah.
And then it's the other way. And then
Just
again-
like Amos. Say it like Amos.
Yeah.
Say it like Amos. I was like, fuck me. Meanwhile, but nonetheless, best program director I ever worked for. I learned so much from that dude. So they're the ones who
Oh
brought
wow.
me out to. No, I really
didn't see
did.
that coming.
I really did. Like he drove me fucking crazy, but he also
But he made you
gave
better?
me. He made me better. I was actually, because I'd never been on the air prior other than college, which is like, what nobody gives a fuck. We were hammered on the air all the time playing songs, like one song an hour. Like who gave a
That's
shit?
SUNY, yeah.
Yeah, I'd be like, I'd be interviewing my gay friends about their fucking sex lives. Like, what is that all about? 3 guys?
Did you guys
So-
always hang out at that mobile station on the hutch there?
No, but we did have, we
Everybody
had,
got their drugs.
yeah, the mobile station. We had all of a friend of ours didn't work at that one. He worked at the one in Greenwich, and he stole us all the mobile shirts. We went
Oh,
for a
there
while.
you
We had
go.
all the Texaco and mobile shirts during the rave era. So he was the best programmer director I'd worked for because he actually let me put a bunch of really cool shit on the air. And then unfortunately he got fired, and then he went to Sirius, and that's how I ended up going to Sirius. And I was at Sirius for like almost 10 years. So I put a lot of time in there. But the thing with
Shit.
Sirius is, what was my favorite part about Sirius was that we would voice track all the shifts, like all those. Nobody's there. It's like that's why it's the Kaiser Permanente of radio. Like nobody's there. It's like just voice. It's like literally like closets with computers and a microphone, and you just go in, and all you get is like the last 30 seconds of the song behind and the first 30 seconds of the song in front, and then you have to fill the space, and then you press send, and then it goes to a computer that fucking puts it all together. And there were people that were spent like they gave us like an hour to do this 6-hour air shift in, and I was like, y'all are fucking ridiculous. Like you're getting paid the same amount of money. Whether we're here for 5 minutes or an hour, then I'm going to do this in 5 fucking minutes.
Yeah.
So I literally got to the point where I could do 6 hours of radio in 11 minutes, and it was the fucking greatest thing ever. Greatest radio gig I've ever had, because nobody gave a fuck. Like, nobody cared. Nobody at any point in that company was ever like, I think the thing that we should be focusing on here
You were just a metric.
is what is our air staff doing? No. And I was like, my boss was sitting at his desk, and this is at the old Swing House location, and there was a doorway here into the studio, and I looked at him and I was like, start the clock. And I went in, and it came out, and I was like, how fast? He was like, 11 minutes. He's like, you got to spend longer than 11 minutes. And then there were like people that would like,
Because you're going home. You're like,
I'm
I'm done.
I'm fucking
out.
done. I just
Yeah.
got my $85. Like, you guys are fucking getting what you're paying for. Like, I could give you Genius. So, and then the other thing was that people were like tightening it up and like taking out dead airspace and like real. And I was like, y'all are fucking crazy. Like,
Yeah.
literally just
really
say
producing
it. say the thing that needs to be said, and then break out. And it's like you had like 5 talk breaks an hour, so it was really easy to have like 4 of them be meaningless, and one of them I'd like maybe say a news thing. And I was like, this is this is why I hate this, is because like nobody gives a fuck about the radio. Like the radio's the last thing that matters. So once again, I had to try and find another outlet to try and be able to talk about music, and that's how I ended up with this thing. Was like I found a thing where the music is all I get to talk about, which is that's my favorite part of the entire thing. Did you find
it or did you create it?
It was a little bit of both. Like I think that I started. When we were working in recording studios and like, because I also like produced records for labels and shit, which was like the most miserable shit on the planet because those people are fucking a-holes.
You strike me as somebody very similar to me in that you know every single facet. You could do any of the
I've
jobs.
done them all. I mean, that's why I had to do it.
Yeah, same here.
I had to do it in order to find out if that was the thing I wanted to keep doing. Like, it doesn't make any sense to try and make informed decisions without being informed.
But because of circumstances and everything, you actually got pretty good at all the different things, right?
And also got to work at a level where, like I didn't go out on the road and sit in a van. I mean, I did do the van tours, but I also got to be on the road with fucking Peter Gabriel, where you've got like fucking 12 18-wheelers and 4 stages and the whole 9 yards. So I got to see it.
Tours, yeah.
I got to see it at all the places and be like, do I really want to do this? So I kind of, so I was in the recording studios and working on records, which sucked because record labels, again, these fucking idiots. So I ended up, like you're sitting in the recording studio with an engineer, and then everyone would leave, and then the engineer would look at you and be like, all right, dude, I got like 2 Led Zeppelin, 3 Who, and a Stevie Wonder. What do you got? And you'd be like, all right, man, I got 3 Fleetwood Mac and 2 Steve Winwoods. And you'd be like, all right, and then you would trade the masters.
Wow.
So that was how I ended up accumulating a pretty good library of them. And then over the course of the past 15 years of being in studios, and now 6 years of doing this, between all the radio gigs, like people started to send me stuff. I had, my favorite was that a guy, I got a message on, it was when I was on Facebook. I got a message on Facebook, and the dude was like, "Hey, you the guy that does that thing on the radio with the songs?" And I was like,
I'm the guy.
I was like, this sounds sketchy, but yeah, I'll say yes now and then block you later. And I was like, yeah. And he goes, all right. He's like, I got something for you. He's like, what are you doing on Friday? And I was like, I don't know. What am I doing? And he's like, meet me at the Starbucks by the 405 in Wilshire at like 3. I've got something for you. And I'm like,
3 p.m. is a safe time, but I
was like, am I going to end up in the trunk of a fucking car? Like, you took our masters. Like, Sony's going to kill me, bury me in the desert. So I was like, all right. So I met with this guy. He's a lovely chap.
Wow, you have lived a life.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
That's even a possibility.
It's entirely possible. Could have been ended like buried in a fucking ski bag in the desert, in Palm Desert. So I sit down with the dude, and he just slides this USB stick across the table at me, and he was like, you're going to enjoy I still don't know the guy's name. And I was like, you're going to like what's on there? And I was like, what is it? He was like, I'm not telling you. And then I went home. He's like, text me after you get it, or message me. And when I got home, it was like 15 Michael Jackson songs.
No kidding.
So it was like, I've been now
unreleased stuff.
No, all released stuff, but the actual masters.
Oh, wow, right. Wow.
The whole thing. Oh,
stuff that's like, under lock and key at somewhere. Yeah, right.
Incredibly valuable. Wow. So I just sort of accumulated, and then a fan got me a treasure trove of them, and it's got to be careful what I say.
Yeah,
but it's really, so that was what I did, was I accumulated this library, and then I was only doing vocals on Sirius, and then when I started over at The Sound was when I started doing the first ones where I did the whole song, and then from there, I was hanging out with a friend of mine. I was like, well, how can I like explode this out? And there's a guy who was doing I won't say too much about it, but there was a guy who was doing a band that is really well known, who does a lecture series on this band, and it sucked. And I went to see it, and I was like, oh. And one of the things was that it was like a PowerPoint presentation, and I could tell that the dude didn't fucking give a shit. He could have been selling timeshares.
Yeah, I was going to say that's not the right medium.
And it's not the way to do it. But I did notice that he had a bunch of, he didn't have anything like I had, but he has a bunch of like that anthology series had a bunch of like B takes and like B-roll bits and alt vocals and that. So I saw he would play those things, and I would watch the audience like re-engage and be like, oh. And then he would start to talk about shit, and then they would go back to sleep.
Again, yeah.
So I was like, oh, that's the way that I have to do it. So the exciting thing for me is that my show is like entirely improv. Like the live show is like all I have is just like a white version of your index cards that have the relevant factoids on it, and then the
just
rest
some bullets,
of it.
Right?
just the band, producer, a little bit of the story of the song, and then the rest of it is driven either by the photos or the songs themselves. And it's the live show that was, right before COVID, I was doing live shows in New York, LA, San Francisco, and Chicago, like
Awesome.
every month, flying out. Because the thing is, like, you can't really tell anybody what I do. It's hard it's really hard to elevator pitch it, which is one of my proudest things about it.
You gotta go watch him play music. What?
You have to do it.
No, you gotta watch him play music.
You gotta watch.
I don't get it.
I don't get it. So like that's one of the things that people say, at the shows is like they'll walk up to me and they'll be like, I told him that I would buy his fucking ticket, and if he hated it, we'd leave at the mid. Like during the intermission, that person's always like, oh my god, I'm bringing 12 friends next time.
Nice.
Which is really nice. But yeah, it was really difficult. So if to what I call break open a city, like I had to go and start doing it for like 20 people in my friend's living room in San Francisco and get enough people after fucking 5 months, 6 months, where there'd be like 200 people that I now had an email list, like I could get a 200-person venue. So I had 200 people in LA, 200 people in San Francisco, 200 people in New York, and I just started to get Chicago working when COVID hit. And then that was when I was like, I didn't know what the fuck I was going to do. And then I worked out through a little bit of research that you could plug your phone into my mixer with this one cable that went from like the old printer USB into a fucking Thunderbolt. And I was like, that exists? So once I could do that, I realized I could do it on Instagram.
The fly, yeah.
And now it's like over 500 songs in the past, I think July. This is my year anniversary was 2 weeks ago, and I've done 500 songs.
Holy shit.
That amount of time. Yeah, it's been amazing. And then the cool thing about the
lot.
Instagram.
More than one a day is holy.
500. I was doing 2 songs a day at 11 in the morning, and then occasionally at night. And then when it was like Thanksgiving or days when people couldn't do anything, I would literally do all day. So I'd do 10 hours. So I do 10 songs in all of Thanksgiving, 10 songs on Christmas, 10 songs on New Year's Eve, 10 songs on election day to distract everyone from that fucking madness.
You break it down track by track, right?
Yeah.
Are you a musician?
My joke is I'm not a musician. I'm a drummer.
Well, me too then.
So I played drums forever and was in bands and like did the whole circus with the major labels. Like, well, you're gonna be the band that saves the industry and all that fucking stupid shit, which is total lies.
Yep.
Weirdly, they're not telling you the truth ever. Who knew? So I've played music, but was never, like that's the thing about this. It is why it's the thing that sort of stuck was that I never did anything else that I was like, this is exactly how I wanted it to be. Like when I drummed, I wasn't as good as I wanted to be as a drummer. As a producer, I wasn't as good as I wanted to be as a producer. As an engineer, I wasn't. So none of those things, like, 'cause I think the closest was being a DJ, but the problem with that was that I couldn't do the radio that I wanted to do. I had to do the radio that these fuck sticks wanted me to do.
Yeah,
that
and
was
that's
just
then you're not shining
it was
your own
madness. That was on a classic rock radio station. They brought me in to be the music guy, and within 2 weeks, I walked into my program directors. My favorite thing is to drive program directors crazy. I think it's what you should be doing. That should be your number one goal when you wake up in the morning. Sorry, Keith. So I walked into his office and I was like, hey man, like I've been here for 2 weeks and I'm starting to become concerned that I've heard every song in our library and I just want to know how many songs are we playing? And he was like, so our program window went from basically 69 to 89. So it's 20 years. Mm-hmm. And it's 20 incredibly verdant years of music.
Sure.
Like 69 to 89 is a fucking mother
You
load.
could pick anything you
Everything's
want.
being done.
Yes.
120 songs was the total.
And that they broadcast 24 hours a day?
24 hours a day.
It's not enough.
It's not enough. And I was like, that's 20 years.
That's what I complain about the radio these days.
That's
is
6 songs a
20
year
songs.
for 20 years, dude. Pick what 6 songs from like 1977. You're trying to tell me there's only 6 great songs that were released in 1977? Like, this is fucking insane,
But
dude.
it's all done by like metrics or something, right?
It's
So
all burnt
somebody out
fried
there-
records.
Right. Okay.
Because the philosophy is that the only way to keep people listening to radio is to keep giving them things that they're comfortable with. And the minute that you start to play things that they're not comfortable with, they start button pushing to find other outlets.
Switch it out, sure.
Which is a valid approach if you want to destroy an industry. My thing would be, how about you just hire DJs that people want to listen to?
Right. Grow an audience. the old
Compelling
school way.
talent who
Right.
are like tell stories the way
Make
that
somebody
people.
irreplaceable.
If anybody can do the job, then the job is meaningless.
That's what I feel also.
And
There's no
that's-
art to it whatsoever.
Sitting there and being like, like the stupid thing was, it was like, You know, like the reason that radio station DJs have to open and close the break with the radio station's call letters is because this is how fucking archaic radio is that little people literally have diaries that they have to fill out to tell how many, before they worked out these little beepers that sense this fucking code that's in the radio signal that allows them. There's like there's like a fucking sound in there that this beeper that fucking. So when we were at the Sound, and those beepers. We talked
about that the other day. That's funny.
It's stupid. It's the dumbest thing ever. So the beepers they go to people and they come away from, like, they would switch them out. So our ratings at the Sound were great until one of the beepers left one of the listeners. And that guy was a hyper fan who happened to work. This is fucking insane. Happened to work at a Best Buy and would put all the radios in the Best Buy to the Sound. So his beeper was just constantly telling him that. So when his beeper got taken away, we lost like a quarter of our market share.
Oh my god!
Because the computer was like, this dude listens to us all the time. He's the biggest fan on the planet. It's like, nope, he just works at a Best Buy and has all the radios.
Gardena is god.
So like that was the level of insanity that I was dealing with. I was like, man, you guys just fucking, like, you can tell me what the listeners had for lunch, but you can't tell me like a fucking, like, we can't play songs that they would be interested in. So it drove me crazy, man. Like, just sitting there, and after a time, I ended up, like, it was just like, I kind of felt like I was slipping into some sort of coma.
You're not one for the establishment. I think that's clear,
dude.
But that's what kind of we like, is the whole pulling the curtain back. Forgive me, there's a fly in here, I swear. Plus that tick. The pulling the curtain back on shit is part of the fun. Like, we have all this theater in here, but we don't actually treat it very seriously.
I mean, that's
kind of the fun.
That's the fun of the endeavor, to be honest with you.
For me, anyway.
And that was the thing about the Instagram version, was it's my favorite radio I've ever done, because it's literally just doing what I always wanted to do. And then, of course, the people in radio tell you that it doesn't work.
Oh, well, neither do podcasts.
Nothing.
Joe Rogan's got $100 million on his podcast that doesn't work.
I'm like, what are you guys talking about? Like, I'm proving it every single day. It's just insane. So so that's been...
That's anybody who is afraid of you succeeding. Oh, it'll never work.
It'll never work. And I'm like, it's working every day. And they're like, no, is it? And I'm like, yeah, no, it is. Like, that's what's crazy about it, is that I actually have, like, empirical data that proves that it's working. Like, you can just come and hang out with, 1,600 people watching a Prince fucking thing.
Right.
And then the crazy thing is, like, the Prince one was 2.5 hours, and it started with 250 people and it ended with fucking 1,400 people. And I'm like,
wow,
for 2.5 hours.
Huge.
That's an immense.
That's the opposite of not working.
That's the opposite of not working.
That's
like,
it's working.
There's a thing called TSL, which is time spent listening, which is the most valuable.
I just found out about it.
TSL.
It's our only mark that's good.
It's that's the most important. It's like your credit score. It's like the most important number is TSL, because what you want to do is carry people over the 15-minute mark so that the advertisers get hit in the advertising breaks, right?
Exactly right.
So the TSL on a 2.5-hour show, that's like a Marvel movie. That's a Marvel movie of radio. Like that's fucking insane. Like people absorb Joe Rogan's show, which is 3 hours long, but they do it over a week.
Right.
Very few people listen to a 3-hour podcast in one song. People listened for an entire, because you can't. There's no archive.
What's the average then?
The average is like
what good is.
It's I mean, dude, I don't give a fuck if 20 people are watching. Like, that's the best part about it. It's but like the average.
No, but I mean, with that time spent, what is a good what's a good amount of time to hold someone's attention on the internet these days?
On the internet, if you can get people to hang out for half an hour, it's a huge thing. In radio, like, if you can get half an hour, because the radio segment I do on KLOS is 24 minutes long. So if you can get, that means it crosses over the 15-minute line. So then that actually starts to do significant shit to your ratings, because all the stuff before that, 1 to 15 is not effective. Get it over 15 and then you're good to go. And so a segment that does 24 minutes is amazing. And then I get on the fucking phone with dickhead programmers, and this one guy was like, so is there, I mean, do you think it's possible to do 4 songs in an hour? And I was like, how long is your broadcast hour? And he was like, well, we have 2 spot sets, each of them was like 4 minutes, so it's like 8 minutes, so it's a 52-minute hour. And I was like,
that's actually pretty good for radio.
I was like, a 52-minute hour, and you want me to do 4 songs, so you're basically asking me to do a song in like 13 minutes?
Yeah.
And I was like, do you understand how disrespectful that is to
Takes me
the
an hour.
music? And this, it was like,
Just playing a track is 3 or 4 minutes often.
it's like play the vocal from start to finish, and that's 3 minutes and 44 seconds of a 3 minute and 44 second song. I'm like, so I've already absorbed. So
You just want me to be a DJ.
And I was like, do you understand how?
Talk about it. Play a song and talk about it.
I was like, do you know how like disrespectful that is of the music? And it was like, it was the equivalent of like somebody like looking at one of those paintings of dots where some people can see the sailing boat and other people just see dots. And it was
schooner
like
is a
literally
sailboat.
talking to a guy that could only see the dots.
Yeah.
Like he didn't understand the question of like, do you see how disrespectful of the music that is? He was just like, well, I just need you to do 4 songs in
Trying to run a
50 minutes. And I was
business
like, I can't have these conversations. So it got so frustrating, and that was why the Instagram version of it is my favorite radios, because it has no time limit. I can say whatever I want. If I want to sit there and get fucking high and tangent off and tell some crazy story from being on the road, which I'll do a lot, I can do that. The people, the amount of people who show up in the chat who are people who worked on the songs, and like Jimmy
Oh,
Jam
that's
and
cool.
fucking, like I was
You're talking to real people who were there.
who were there, like Greg Fillinganes will come in and tell us all about Michael Jackson recordings, and Peanut from 311 shows up, and like it's really such a cool community, and it's a whole different way of doing radio. Like that's what I really look at it as. Like there's the nice thing about radio is that it allowed. The Aspergers makes me really socially uncomfortable.
Yeah.
So it makes it it's nice to be able to just interact with a single plane and then turn that single plane off and then have no responsibility to that single plane.
Mm-hmm.
So I've had, like the relationship with radio was great because people didn't even know what I looked like. But what I found with the Instagram thing is that the conversation between the chat room and there's some real superstars in my chat room. There were some incredibly funny, smart people who are feeding a conversation, and it's unlike any other radio that's ever been done. Like it's instantaneous, because there's no filter on it, and I love that. And I actually went and did my first live show a few weeks ago, and it was fucking awful.
Oh.
Because I realized that one of the things that I'd really started to enjoy was the chat room, was the idea of having
the
a
interaction.
Conversation instead of it being like a
Right. And then
2-hour
no
monologue.
one's there when you're just talking to the audience.
which I've been doing for 3.5 years. So I had like a serious, when I came out of COVID and then went and did my first show, I thought I was going to be running with the weights off and like, oh my God, it's going to be amazing. And then I fucking did it, and it sucked. And it was really hard for me to get back from. I'm going to put myself in, I'm going to put my head in a fucking lion's mouth. And on July 24th, I'm going to do the 2-hour Bohemian Rhapsody show at the Sega Strom Center in Orange County. Ticket link soon. And I'm going to see if that works. And if it doesn't, then I'm going to have some conversations. But
I think if it does work, you're going to have some conversations.
Well, if it doesn't work, I have to work out what the show looks like, because the live show is, I love the live show. So the idea of like not having that as a venue anymore. So I think what I'm also going to do is there's a KCRW has a 200-person space, and then the Grammy Theater has a 200-person space.
Oh, you're talking, KCRW at Santa Monica College.
Yep,
They've got that.
they have
room.
one
Yeah.
there. So I've been talking to
I love that
Raoul
room,
Campus about
That
possibly.
would be great for you. That's a great room for you.
It's a great room. The problem is
really
like
intimate.
it's an additional 45-minute drive for anyone coming from Orange County, which is where a lot of my fan base is, or support base is. So if I can get the Grammy Theater, that would be great, because it's 200 people, sounds amazing. The seats are fucking comfortable. And what I want to start doing is the version of the show where I do it with people that worked on the songs, or people that were in the band.
And then you get a little Q&A going between a little talk show, a little you and them.
Well, it's
kind of deal.
gorgeous because I get to just be a vehicle for somebody else's storytelling. And then if it's somebody who has a difficulty telling their story, then you can aid them in their telling of their story, because the stories are always...
So you can moderate it a little bit.
It's amazing. Like I'll just, you get to hear things, because these people were in the room when the songs are being done. But then there's another version of it. Like there's a guy, the drummer for Rage Against the Machine is a guy by the name of Brad Wilk, who's a lovely chap. He's been in the chat room a bunch of times. So I hit him up in Messenger, and I was like, hey, Brad, at some point when I get this guest show going, will you do a Van Halen? I mean, I would do an Audio Slave or a Rage song with me. And he was like, yeah, man, that'd be great. And then that night I did a Van Halen song. And the next day he messaged me and was like, I mean, it'd be so much cooler if I could get to do a Van Halen song, LOL. And I was like, done.
Yeah.
And he was
cares?
like, what?
Let's do
And
it.
I was like, that's fucking amazing. Like, the idea of sitting there with Brad Wilk from Rage Against the Machine, like,
As a Van
nerding
Halen
the
fan.
fuck
Yeah,
out
yeah,
about
I'm
the
in.
Van
Yeah.
Halen.
I'd rather watch that.
That's great, because there's like different versions of the show. The best storytellers are generally not the people from the band. It's the producers or the engineers who are in the rooms because they can tell you the real machine of what happened.
More observing.
But
No
it's
ego.
nice. So the band version with people who worked in it is great. The members of the band is great, and then this other version of like people who are fans of the music, like that's the next one that I really want to explore. So I'm trying to, because I think I can do the one-person show even if it's uncomfortable with me if I have another version of the show I'm doing at the same time. So if I can do the guest show and the one-person show and then the Instagram version, those three together would be fucking great.
Do you almost have to have, and I don't know if this is Asperger's or if it's just a personality thing, but are you one of the people that needs to almost have too much going on to slow your brain down to be able to do the one thing?
Weed helps.
I agree with that.
Like
also.
that. I will tell you this: watch those fucking vape pens.
In what way?
So one of the things that
They're bad
I've
for you?
developed, which
Oh, dude, they were sponsors, so don't say too much. But
well, no, I mean like
Vape pens in
flower,
general.
vape pens in general. The problem, because what they're finding now is that because the weed has become decriminalized, and because it was never allowed to be researched prior because of the fucking stupid Schedule 1,
Sure.
because Republicans are fucking morons, because that shit happened. We didn't get any research done into extensive usage of marijuana, so there's no idea about what happens if a society starts to use marijuana.
oh,
a
on the
lot.
long term.
So yeah, no long-term studies.
Right.
And all of the countries where legal weed has happened have been smoking flower. So one of the things that happens with vape pens is they've noticed this thing that they've labeled cannabinoid hyperemesis syndrome,
Oh,
which
I
is
read about this.
which is the problem with vape pens is that shit's 90% THC or higher.
right.
And your body gets overloaded with THC because flower is like 30 to 40% THC. Your body gets overloaded and suddenly becomes allergic to THC, which is what I have. And I still smoke even though because it
Oh,
helps.
really? Oh, I've heard people that they can't even go.
Oh
they
no,
can't
I'm so
touch it.
lucky that I don't have like the really bad version of it.
Okay.
I haven't, but it's going to get bad.
Essentially, one day you wake up and you're just now allergic to it. Like
Yeah.
your body can never. Your body goes no. It's like food poisoning.
Yeah.
almost.
And they're seeing people whose like kidneys are shutting down from it. Like it's really bad. Oh,
Whoa.
it's like it's actually a serious problem. So the CHS thing is something that I loved vape pens because you could smoke it in public and it was fucking completely cool. So
it's just that she needs it on
I
such
know,
a
so-
constant
so-
basis that it's just so convenient.
it's
and at
so
home, she only
convenient.
smokes flower.
That's what I'm saying. Like
vapes,
if you
vapes
can mix
flower.
it up, like vaping the flower is like the best, or the volcano is actually, unfortunately, much as it's ridiculously expensive and a huge bag of smoke that you have to fucking.
No, but that's okay. We would
that's-
consider that. She's still on the old wooden box, the Vapor
Oh, nice.
Brothers
Yeah,
box
with the hose.
hookah-looking thing.
That's old school.
But
bad.
when that
Like
dies,
it.
I don't know that we'll be able to find another one. So it'll probably
Yeah,
have to
the
be
volcano, because it's not the vape. The volcano is crystallized because it's
just the actual stuff.
it's
There's
ju-
no,
it's the it doesn't even have any of the.
it's not even oil, right?
No, it's just straight. Almost like the THC gets vaporized and it's not smoke.
You're good on it, but whenever I have her,
Oh,
thing,
dude.
I'm like, it's fun.
The other problem is that my tolerance is like ridiculously high. Like I have, I'm talking on.
Do you edibles? Are you still good on edibles?
Okay, well, here's the thing with edibles that people don't understand. So you know how like people do edibles of weed and then have really bad experiences on it?
My first one was awful. Yeah.
So here's what
I
happens.
mean, like shit on the walls was moving.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
I mean, it was a full-on psychedelic experience for me.
Well, this is another. So the only reason I take this seriously is because my relationship with marijuana, when I started to smoke weed, was the first time that I felt like a normal human being, because I felt all of the Aspergers turn off, and like dip switches, like social anxiety,
I know
fucking being
exactly
able to like
what
being
you're-
calm, like my
And
musculature
you can decide
changed.
which ones to go find.
And I was just able to feel like a human being. So the reason that I'm so I talk about this is because I do believe that the medicinal nature of this plant is really important. And the thing with weed was the first time I really smoked it was when I got taught how to smoke weed by the fucking RZA from the Wu-Tang
Oh
Clan
my
because
God.
I was the only person
That
on
is
the
not where you
road.
start.
No, it's terrible. It's terrible.
It's like hitting
I was
Snoop's pipe the first time out. Gee whiz.
I was a little white kid from the suburbs, and then I was the only person on the tour bus who was like Poetic, rest in peace. Poetic was his smoke partner. And then one day, Poetic comes to me and he's like, I can't fucking do it anymore. I literally can't do it with this guy anymore, man. Like, you guys tagged me, and I was like, come on, bro, really?
And you were the
so
only
then
one who could.
that was it, because the other 2 guys didn't smoke weed. The other 3 guys didn't smoke weed.
My
So
God.
my tolerance is stupid high. And then the vape pen, that was, so the thing with the vapes is take them really, really easily. The thing with them, with edibles that people don't understand. This is fucking crazy. This is why the schedule.
It's a good final thing. I love
The
it.
Schedule 1 thing is such a problem because people don't know about this stuff. So what happens when you eat marijuana is that your stomach enzymes actually change the chemical composition of the marijuana to where it actually resembles mushrooms, and it's way closer to psilocybin than it is to weed, which
so
is
what
why
I've said
people have
before-
fucking sideways journeys where they start to see
Yes.
shit, is because your body has actually changed the chemical composition of the marijuana.
That's a psychedelic
to a-
composition,
it's
right?
it's a much more psychedelic version of it. That's why people don't have bad trips on weed. I've never hung out with somebody who's like, dude, I smoked so much that literally the walls were dripping and my fucking friend turned into a golden retriever. Never happens. It's like I smoked so much I got really tired and I fell asleep after eating 14 pizzas.
But when you
Edibles,
eat
dude.
something, yeah.
So many of my friends, I've had bad trips on fucking edibles and been like, what the fuck is this about? So I started doing research, and it's part of why. One of the things that's really important about the legalization of marijuana is that we really need to start educating people about the fact that it isn't benign, dude. It's not a benign substance.
I think it's alive. I think
it's
it's very, very not benign.
It's working.
Yeah.
It's doing things. And if people understood that you have to be careful, like when you walk into a weed shop and they're like, this is a triple X coffee drink, and you're like, cool. What's 1X? And they're like, well, yes.
Yeah.
This is a 1X. And you're like, cool. Well, how much is the X? The X doesn't actually have a numerical thing to it, where it's not like 1.4 grams is an X. So triple X would be, 5 grams. Its X is just whatever you decide as a manufacturer of fucking weed substances,
Right.
what your X is.
Right.
So I could eat 1X from one company and be cool, and eat 1X from another company and have my brain fucking explode and,
That's
spend
wild.
8 hours under the bed.
That's wild.
So there's no, there's no universality
I didn't
of
even
these
follow
fucking.
most of that, but the idea that it's not all centralized.
Yeah, it's not.
all.
There's no standardized
that's standardized.
X.
Yeah.
And that's one of the problems, is that in order for these absolutely weed should be legal, and absolutely every person who's been arrested for marijuana possession should be released from prison immediately. If you can go to a Mac store and buy a fucking bag of weed from MedMen, then nobody should be in jail for fucking weed possession. But if we're going to do that, then we also really need to educate people.
Yeah,
and the
that's
people who
true.
work at these fucking stores need to be educated. There needs to be a standardized fucking thing for
I agree
them.
with all of that.
You know what I'm saying? So
I
when,
actually liked it when the medicinal was legal in California better than when it became fully, because it was just like an easy system. It was like the people who had the thing
Right.
went and got it. It wasn't difficult to do, but there was still a little bit of rigmarole so that you could go to the goddamn store and get your medicine
Right.
for your wife. Once it became legal, it was like, hey, what's up, dude? You getting your shit? I'm like, oh my god!
And
Like, this used to be a this
right.
used to be a
A
there used to be a
relationship
line
of-
here at
right.
CVS, and now it's just like a fucking everybody could buy M&Ms.
it's like Baskin Robbins.
Perfect.
And people are just going out, and that's the problem, is that
Oh, you don't have pink pistachio, but it's my favorite pink pistachio is the one I like.
yeah. And then then additionally the problem is that we then fall victim to all of the negative reinforced things about marijuana
Oh, yeah.
that are the reasons that it shouldn't have been legalized to begin with. And you're like, no, we just swung the pendulum too far in the other
Yeah.
direction.
Yeah.
And we need oversight, we need research, we need to understand what this does to people. We need to understand, they're saying, this is fucking ridiculous. Don't get me started on weed. They're saying this crazy shit. So one of the reasons that they think that human beings are getting cancers and are getting sick the way that they are is not only that we have high fructose corn syrup and everything because fucking companies are scumbags and sociopaths, but that up until fucking Rudolph Hearst or whatever that fucking douchebag's name was, who had fucking that
Randolph
guy
William Hearst.
had fucking
William Randolph
he had hemp outlawed.
Yeah,
right.
But you remember the reason
because
for
of paper,
for the newspaper.
Yeah. So he has hemp outlawed
because it was cheaper to make paper out of hemp,
I
and
heard
he
that.
had paper.
So he had paper mills,
Yeah.
and he was like, "I'm going to lose." So here's what happens: you stop. So hemp weed is called weed because it grows like a fucking weed if it's allowed to just grow naturally. Like you can't smoke all of it, obviously, but when you have hemp growing naturally, which is really easy to grow, then all of the animals are eating hemp. So CBD was actually in our food chain.
Right, that's what I've
from
always
the
said.
ground up.
Right.
So if you were
It
eating
was in the animals,
cows,
we'd eat the animals.
so if you eat a cow, you're eating a cow that's just been munching on hemp.
Absolutely.
So it's got CBD in its meat. So we were absorbing CBD in our systems for generations.
Absolutely.
That's starting with this Randolph Hearst douchebag who's like, I want to make more money, rip CBD out of the food chain, and suddenly human beings are like getting commensurately more sick
Yeah.
because and now everyone's like, oh my god, CBD is like a wonder drug. Like I rub it on my penis and it got bigger, and I have boils and they disappear, and if I have a headache I just put it behind my ears and all of a sudden I can see fucking multicolors, and it's cured blindness in children. It's like the reason is because it's actually an incredibly powerful medicine that used to just be everywhere.
Yeah, it used to just be a vitamin we got.
It was a vitamin that we got without even knowing that we were getting it.
Some of the minerals of life. Yeah.
So I mean, one of the things that I use to balance off the the cannabinoid hyperemesis, CHS, is I eat CBD gummies, and those
and that
help with the
counteracts?
It helps with the stomach upset, and it helps with the only thing it doesn't help with is that so there's two bizarre symptoms. One of them is that your mouth feels like you're dehydrated at all times, and the other one is that you need to take hot showers all the time.
Because you're cold?
Nope.
Okay.
You just randomly, people are like, yeah, dude, so all of a sudden I'm taking like 6 hot showers in a day. And it's like been universal across all of these cases of CHS is like this like need, this psychological need to taking, not showers, but like hot showers. Weed is a hell of a drug.
You had me on the whole thing until the end, and I'm just like, what
Yeah.
the?
So if the minute you start finding yourself like deciding that you need to take hot showers 6 times a day, you might have CHS.
I don't know what your CBD gummy of choice is, but for appearing in person here today, you get a $50 gift certificate to cruiseinto.wellness.com.
There it is.
I will be
I'm
sending
in.
you an email with a
I
promo
cannot
code.
wait to get me some CBD from them.
And we actually enjoy their gummies. They've got pretty good gummies too.
And when you were
DFX.
talking about the Christian Fletcher, what's interesting is that my dad originally wanted to call me Fletcher Christian because he was
Get the hell out of here.
Yeah, because he was a fan of Mutiny on the Bounty.
Oh, maybe okay.
And then the Welsh side of my family was like, no, there needs to be Welsh in the name, so then it became Christian James. But Fletcher
That's
Christian is
amazing.
a way cooler fucking name than Christian James.
Could have been a surfer.
Could have been so cool. Instead, not.
Christian James Hand,
Yes.
not Chris.
Never.
How do people follow you? Other
You can
than
do
Christian
so.
James Hand?
There's it's really simple. There's one that's Christian James Hand on Instagram. I actually befriended all of the Christian James Hands on Facebook.
Smart.
And made a little group.
So you got a bunch of you?
And then there was like one of us there was this kid in England who's like Christian James Hand was actually born on the same day as me.
Ooh.
So I reached out to him and I was like, we have to never be in the same room together because the fabric of the universe will be rendered asunder. So I'll just randomly get a message from him and be like, I'm going down the shops. And I'm like, all right, dude, I won't be there. I'm not going to go to the shops. So you can find me at Christian James Hand on Instagram, and then the Session IG Live, which is where I do the bits, and I used to do them at 11 o'clock every morning, and then once I hit 500 songs, I was like, this is a fucking workload. So now the only one that really happens constantly is Wednesday nights are Michael Jackson. It's MJ Wednesdays, which is 7 p.m. Pacific time on the Session IG Live.
It's live, and you've got the people on there. They can interact with you in a
Yep.
little bit.
It's
Super
great.
cool.
Greg Fillinganes will show up tomorrow night and probably tell us a bunch of factoids and crazy shit about making the songs, which is just dope. And
Super
Jimmy
cool.
Jam. Yeah, it's nice. As I say, it's my favorite version of radio, my favorite version of the show.
I know we'll see you in Malibu this week, but some Friday, if you ever get a chance, come up the mountain sometime. I think you dig it. It's a pretty cool hang.
I wanted to do that. Actually, I've been talking to Trimsby.
Oh, I love
Trimbles. So, because Trimbles owes me my birthday ride in the Porsche.
It's your birthday?
No, this is from January, but we were locked up in our
owed.
houses. Yeah. But the problem with the Friday morning, because I was going to go up, actually, Paul Rivera big dicked everybody in his fucking Lambo SV the other morning.
Yeah.
And I was,
That was awesome.
I know.
That
We're
was
going to roll.
awesome. Lieberman, he gave him a ride. Magnus took it first.
Dude, everybody gets to drive.
Yeah,
He's like,
it was
Christian, you
awesome.
got to drive it. And it's so funny because they're like friends of mine who were like car guys who are like, I don't I'm not gonna let that many people drive my fucking car, bro. Like when the fucking
Oh, this was a free. I mean,
everybody had to go. It was like a bicycle.
If we were shooting the show, I would have taken it for What Are You Driving Today? We weren't shooting that day, but it would have been awesome.
We're rolling with 4 Diablos on Sunday.
Oh my God, that's ridiculous.
We got 4 of them. So so I can't do the problem with the Friday is that Friday is when I go and do my show with Matt.
You do it at the Smoking Tire? Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because he's working, so he's looking for things to, avoid having to do work. So
that's the truth.
I do it down there with him.
Well, one of these days.
Yeah.
I hope you enjoyed this. I love
did.
You, buddy.
Thank you.
I think you're so kick-ass, and it was really great getting to hear more about you.
Well,
seriously.
thanks. That's very nice of
No,
you
it's
to
cool.
say.
It's cool. It was cool that the stories matched the vibe for me. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it's not anachronistic. You're like, it's exactly.
There's grit there, and it's very familiar grit. I like it.
Well, thank you so much for having me. It's been, as I said, like I'm blown away by this entire facility, and now I'm going to
our dining room.
Now I'm
dining
gonna
room facility, micro studio.
I'm gonna go home and sit on my floor and just. I don't even have a bubble machine.
Thursday, we're back here with Magnus Walker. Everybody,
Oh, nice.
We were talking about he's got the new sneaker coming out, and he also
does he really?
Yeah.
What's his sneaker?
Nike, baby. Limited release, 10,000 pairs with Nike. And
I got to work out a way to get a pair of those.
Me too. I know. Tell me about
yeah.
it. 11, if anyone's taking orders. And then next week we're back with Donald Dicker. He's a history with Porsche. He worked with Porsche for many, many years, and Spike Ferriston next week as well.
Oh, Spike's lovely.
Yeah.
I will say, like, I've recently become very annoyed at the fact that I now at some point feel like I have to own a Porsche. And I
mean,
resented all of
really
you
matter.
dicks for so long. I was just like, bleh. Like every Cars and Coffee where it's like 65 M&Ms show up and they're all exactly the same except for different wings and wheels and shit. And I'm like, ugh, you guys are gross. And now I've like Matt's got me behind the wheel of a couple, and I'm like,
That's all it takes.
fuck. That's all it takes, dude. The other day I got to take the Heritage Edition Targa.
You guys, yeah. The new 992.
I did like 3 hours in that thing because we had to drop the fucking Countach off at the desert to get worked on, which is a stupid thing to be able to say.
Yep.
So I drove the Porsche.
Yeah.
Holy
You were the follow
shit,
car, and then
that
you both came
car,
back.
Yeah,
It's
it's
awesome.
amazing. They're
awesome.
amazing cars. I'm
And that's
really annoyed.
And that's the big, slow, heavy one.
I know. Well, the GT3 RS or whatever
crazy,
the fuck
yeah.
that thing was, and I
Ridiculous.
was like, this is bananas.
Yeah. It's we're living in the future where like almost our brain, our old brains can't even keep up.
Yeah,
with
no, I'm like, now I'm gonna have to own a Porsche at some point and be one of those guys. There's nothing worse than being a Porsche guy.
Oh no!
It's all you do is talk about it. And you wear the shoes, and you have the shirts, and you have a hat, and you have you got to get a keychain. You have to do all the Porsche
Have
stuff.
you ever seen us do any of those things? Not everyone does that.
Not everybody does it. You guys are the classier versions.
I love you so much, Christian. We love you
Pleasure.
so much.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for being here. We love everybody on Instagram. We love you on YouTube. Thank you for watching. Please love one another, and we'll see you on Thursday with Magnus.
And you two are inspirational.
Dude, real?
Thanks.
Yeah, for real. Like inspirational people. So thank you. Cheers.
Amen. Love everybody. That was awesome.
Well, there you go. That's what it's like having beers together. This is ridiculous. So when did you start building this? Right. Did you add on slowly? Is the original Edmonton?